Imagine standing in Europe in 1945. The war is finally over. But all around you, nothing but ruins. A continent that spent 6 years fighting simply to survive. Cities bombed into rubble. Railways twisted like broken bones. Factories that once powered entire nations, silent. Millions of people homeless, hungry, searching for family members they may never find again. Germany has surrendered. France is exhausted. Britain won the war, but its economy is bleeding out. The guns have gone silent. But Europe is still fighting. A battle against hunger, against poverty, against total economic collapse. Because here's the truth nobody tells you. Winning World War II was only half the problem. The harder question was still unanswered. What happens now? And this is where America made a decision that would shape the entire Western world for generations to come. Not with speeches, not with promises, but with billions of dollars, aircraft, economic institutions, and eventually, a permanent military alliance that still stands today. Welcome back to American History Chronicles, where we bring America's forgotten history to life. If stories like this pull you in, hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps this channel grow, and it means you'll never miss the next one. Now, let's go back to 1945. This is the story of how America helped rebuild the West. The United States came out of World War II unlike almost any other power on Earth. While Europe lay in ashes, the American mainland had escaped the destruction completely. For years, American factories had built the weapons, the vehicles, the food, the machinery that won the war. Now Europe needed those same factories for something else entirely. Reconstruction. But rebuilding a continent isn't just stacking bricks back together. Factories needed raw materials. Workers needed jobs. Railways needed fuel. Cities needed electricity. And millions of ordinary people just needed something to eat. If Europe's economies collapsed, the damage wouldn't stay in Europe. Economic collapse breeds political chaos. And in this new, tense standoff with the Soviet Union, a desperate, starving Europe was exactly the kind of place communism could take root. America needed a plan. Fast. The Marshall Plan. In 1947, U.S. Secretary of State George C. Marshall stood up and proposed something almost unthinkable in scale. A coordinated recovery program for an entire continent, funded by American money. History would remember it as the Marshall Plan. When it launched in 1948, the United States committed roughly $13.3 billion to rebuild Europe. Food was shipped in. Fuel was supplied. Factories got new equipment. Railways were repaired, mile by mile. Picture a factory that had stood dead silent since the war ended. Now, the machine's grown back to life. Workers walk through the doors again. Goods roll out on the railways. Money starts moving again. An entire economy slowly exhales. But make no mistake, the Marshall Plan didn't rebuild Europe by magic. It was European hands, engineers, workers, farmers, who did the real rebuilding. American money simply made it possible. Washington believed something powerful, that prosperity protects democracy. A well-fed nation is far harder to radicalize than a starving one. So the Marshall Plan was two things at once, an economic rescue and a Cold War strategy. The Berlin airlift. And then, one city became the ultimate test of everything America had promised. Berlin. After the war, Germany was carved up among the Allied powers. Berlin itself was split too, sitting like an island deep inside Soviet territory. By 1948, the fragile peace with Moscow was falling apart. Then the Soviets made their move. Every road into West Berlin blocked. Every railway blocked. 2 million people suddenly cut off from the world. And a terrifying question hung over the city. How long can we survive? Moscow was betting the West would simply walk away. Instead, America and Britain made a decision that stunned the world. They would supply an entire city from the sky. The Berlin airlift began. Aircraft roared in day after day, night after night, without stopping. Food, coal, fuel, medicine. One plane lands, unloads, takes off. Then another. For the children of West Berlin, those planes overhead became something almost magical. Some pilots even dropped tiny parachutes of candy down to the kids waiting below. This was never just about supplies. It was a message, loud and clear: you have not been abandoned. On May 12, 1949, the Soviet Union finally lifted the blockade. West Berlin had survived, and the whole world understood, in that moment, the Cold War had truly begun. By the way, if this kind of untold history fascinates you as much as it fascinates me, this is exactly the channel for you. A quick subscribe helps more than you'd think. Asterisk, NATO and a new world order. Money could rebuild economies, but nations also needed to feel safe again. So in 1949, The United States joined Canada and 10 Western European nations to sign the North Atlantic Treaty. NATO was born. The idea was simple and revolutionary. An attack on one member would be treated as an attack on all. For America, this was a massive shift from staying out of European politics to becoming permanently tied to Europe's security for good. At the same time, the global economy itself needed rebuilding. In 1944, delegates from 44 nations gathered at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. Out of that meeting came two institutions that still shape the world economy today: the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Piece by piece, a new world order was taking shape. Why America really did it? Let's be honest, this wasn't just charity. Washington wanted strong trading partners. Washington wanted to keep the Soviets contained. Washington wanted to prevent another Great Depression from ever happening again. Idealism and self-interest working together. Europe needed America's resources. America needed a stable Europe. Two different motives pointed in the exact same direction. And that alignment built something extraordinary. Across Western Europe, factories restarted, railways reopened, trade exploded, families slowly returned to normal life. It wasn't instant. There were shortages. There was real poverty. The Cold War kept getting more dangerous by the year. But compared to the smoking ruins of 1945, what happened next was nothing short of remarkable. Who really rebuilt Europe? But here's the part of this story you need to remember. Europeans rebuilt Europe. American money could buy the supplies. American planes could carry the cargo. But someone still had to clear the rubble with their bare hands. Someone had to rebuild the factories, repair the railways, walk back into fields still scarred by war. That was Europeans, not Americans. The Marshall Plan didn't rebuild the continent alone. It simply made recovery possible. The Berlin airlift was flown by American and British crews, but it was Berliners who lived through the blockade, day after freezing day. NATO was founded by 12 nations, not by America acting alone. This was cooperation, not charity. But America's role was undeniably unique. It had the money, the industry, the military, and the influence to hold the whole thing together. And in the process, America itself changed forever. Before the war, it tried to stay out of European entanglements. After 1945, that door was closed for good. By the early 1950s, Western Europe stood at the edge of something new. The scars of war were still visible, but factories were humming. Trade was booming. Cities were rising again from the dust. America could have turned inward and focused only on itself. Instead, it stayed, through money, through diplomacy, through an alliance that has now lasted over 70 years. Not every decision was perfect. The Cold War that followed brought its own conflicts, its own tragedies. But the foundation held. The Western Alliance survived. The transatlantic partnership survived. And the institutions built in this era still shape the world you live in today. So picture Europe in 1945, a continent in ruins. Now picture it just a decade later. Factories running, cities rebuilt, democracies cooperating side by side. This isn't a story about America single-handedly saving Europe. It didn't. Europeans rebuilt their own countries with their own hands. But America gave them something they desperately needed: resources, security, and a promise to stay engaged long after the fighting stopped. In 1945, Europe was broken. America helped provide the money. Europe provided the will and the hands and the people. Together, they built the modern Western world. Because sometimes, the hardest part of winning a war isn't the fighting at all. It's deciding what you're going to build once it's over. If you enjoyed this story, do consider subscribing to American History Chronicles. It costs nothing, takes 2 seconds, and it's genuinely the biggest way you can support this channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is the story of how America helped rebuild the West.